Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is the Prophets of Awakening. This is our men's advanced Bible study. Okay. Uh, we're going to be dealing with Netanyahu's plan to combine the U.S. and Israel's military. That's our number one topic. Go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. Okay. These videos will lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, okay? And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah, Tanakh being the Old Testament, from Genesis to Malachi, so-called Book of Remembrance. And the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer, our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days, and also understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our men's advanced Bible study. Okay, we here every Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time, so you can count on that. Okay, we're gonna do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information, and we'll open it up for some Q&A. Or any questions, any comments, any dialogue or testimonies. And then our topic for discussion is the 25 years of progress that's about to vanish. Okay, and then we got two topics for discussion. The other one is about Peter Chill's evil scheme. It's so dark that you have to see it to believe it. So we're gonna deal with that, and then my scripture reading is dealing with Netanyahu's plan to combine the U.S. and Israel's military together, okay? And then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do at the end of the class, and we'll read that scripture, break it down, connect the dots, talk about it, then we'll close out, okay? This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days, okay? Oh Lord, we come before thee at this hour, praising you and honoring you for your position both in heaven and upon the earth, the position in which the Creator Yahweh have given unto thee. Through your spirit and your counsel, O Lord, we have awakened. We have awakened to know who we are as a people and who you are as our Savior and our Redeemer. And we're thankful for all that you have done, and we are eagerly searching your scriptures out that we may be at the right place at the right time upon your arrival to this planet. We love you and we seek you daily, O Lord. And there is none else besides thee to redeem us. We see you in the affairs of the world, and we faithfully await your deliverance. Peace be unto you. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to read the Psalms right quick. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, okay, read Psalm 3. It's a prayer of our confidence in God. Lord, how are they increased that trouble me? Many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, there is no help for him in God. Selah. But thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory, and the lifter up of my head. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. Selah, I laid me down and slept. I awakened, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of tens of thousands of people that have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Lord, and save me, O my God, for thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessings is upon thy people. Selah. Okay, there was Psalms there was Psalm 3. Is a prayer for confidence in God. So David is encouraging us and our forefathers on how being steadfast with the Lord and what's the benefits of it. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna move on to our current events. See if I can. Okay, let me get it. Okay, play this first. I'll play that. That's it. Okay, here we go.
Every meal you've ever eaten has something in common, whether it's a delicious slice of toast before work, a bowl of rice halfway around the world, or a steak on a barbecue. Almost every single thing we eat can be traced back to the same ordinary-looking rock, and it's one of the most important resources on Earth. It determines how much food we can grow, how expensive that food becomes, and increasingly, which countries hold the upper hand in global politics. Yet almost, nobody's ever talking about it. Instead, we obsess over oil pipelines and semiconductor factories and rare earth minerals. Governments spend trillions of dollars trying to secure the technologies they believe will shape the future. Yet one of the world's most important resources has remained, a little bit invisible, because unlike oil, gas, or computer chips, this isn't a resource that powers our economies. It powers our food. And around 70% of the world's non-supply is concentrated in one corner of North Africa, Morocco. The story of modern food doesn't even begin on a farm. It begins deep beneath the Earth's surface. The hidden ingredient. So when we're thinking about how food is made, we tend to assume the story starts on a farm. We picture like rolling wheat fields and orchards and tractors and greenhouses and maybe a guy in a little hat being like, yeehaw, maybe. But modern agriculture has a secret. The story of your food doesn't start on a farm at all. It starts deep underground. Ooh. Long before a farmer plants wheat, before a mill grinds it into flour, and before a bakery turns the flour into bread, another industry has already done the work that makes all of it possible. It's a part of the food system that most people never actually see, despite the fact that modern agriculture depends on it every single day. The story of food begins deep beneath the Earth's surface, inside an ordinary-looking sedimentary rock called phosphate. This unremarkable thing contains phosphorus, one of the fundamental building blocks of life itself. And before anyone says anything, yes, I have a slight lisp, and phosphorus is rough. I don't want to see any comments about it. Every living organism needs phosphorus. It's found in our DNA and RNA, helping store and transmit the genetic instructions that make life possible. Plants rely on it to build strong roots, produce flowers, seeds, and fruits, as well as generate the energy they need to grow. Without it, healthy crops simply aren't possible. Phosphorus is one of the 3 primary nutrients required for plant growth alongside nitrogen and potassium. Now remove any one of these nutrients and crops will begin to struggle. Remove phosphorus entirely and many crops simply cannot grow into the food we need to eat. Life, like any other commodity, and countries simply just bought what they needed. But the past few years have been crazy, and governments have to rethink the supply chains that they once took for granted. Europe has spent billions trying to reduce its dependence on Russian energy. The United States has invested heavily in domestic semiconductor manufacturing to reduce its reliance on East Asia. Countries that import large volumes of fertilizer are beginning to ask much more questions, like how vulnerable are our farms if one major supplier restricts exports? What happens if another war, trade dispute, or shipping crisis disrupts global supply? And perhaps most importantly, who can we rely on over the next 50 years? And these aren't theoretical questions. In 2021, China began restricting exports of phosphate fertilizers as it sought to secure domestic supplies and protect Chinese farmers from rising prices. From Beijing's perspective, the policy made perfect sense. Every government prioritizes feeding its own population before worrying about international markets. Oh, of course. But because China occupies such a dominant position in global fertilizer production, those domestic decisions didn't stay inside China at all. They tightened global supply, contributed to rising prices, and reminded importing countries just how dependent they had become on just a handful of suppliers. Morocco isn't just sitting on one of the world's largest phosphate deposits.
So notice, Morocco got 80% of the phosphorus in the world. That's big. But check it out.
It's been more than 100 years turning that geological advantage into an industry. But of course, there's a catch. A portion of those reserves lies in Western Sahara. When Spain withdrew from the territory in 1975, both Morocco and the Polisario Front claimed it. Morocco moved to administer most of the territory, while the Polisario Front declared an independent republic. They fought a war, and it lasted until a UN brokered ceasefire in 1991. This ceasefire ended most of the fighting, but it did actually never resolve the central question of who actually owns Western Sahara. And, to this day, that question remains disputed under international law. That means a very, very strategically important mineral deposit is partly in territory whose sovereignty is still contested. So I guess finding the phosphate was the easy part. What Morocco builds afterwards is what could change geopolitics, the long game. History is full of countries blessed with extraordinary natural resources that never managed to turn geological luck into lasting geopolitical influence.
So we're going to keep our eye on that, 80%. So these Edomites and these Anglo-Saxons, they coming. And then the lady just said that there's a dispute over who actually owns it. So they coming. Any feedback on that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. Yes, sir. I see it like you said. They definitely coming for that resource because to have 80% of anything,
right?
That means it's wealthy, and they don't want nobody wealthy, especially at this point. So
right. So here go another video to show you just how important the phosphorus is. Check it out.
Happened in Washington, and it did not make front page headlines the way you might expect. President Trump has declared a national emergency, not over oil, not over war, not even over semiconductors, but over fertilizer. Yes, fertilizer. And buried inside the decision is a warning signal about something far bigger, which is the fragility of America's food system, rising global supply chain instability, and a quiet crisis that could hit grocery prices in the month ahead. So what exactly happened? Why fertilizer and why now? Let's break it down. On June the 29th, President Trump signed a presidential proclamation declaring a national emergency tied directly to America's fertilizer supply.
3 days ago.
The immediate action is very specific, which is the administration is suspending certain anti-dumping and countervailing duties on phosphate fertilizer imports from Morocco for up to 8 months or until the emergency is lifted. Now, the goal here is very, very simple, and it's an urgent one as well. The goal is to keep fertilizer flowing into the United States before the next planting cycle begins. Because if that doesn't happen, the next risk is not just higher prices, it's reduced harvests, tighter food supply, and potentially another wave of food inflation. So the White House made its position very clear. The position is fertilizer is no longer just an agricultural input. It is now a matter of national security. To understand why this matters, you have to understand what fertilizer actually does. And hear me out, I will make it very, very brief. Modern agriculture depends on 3 core nutrients. These 3 core nutrients are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Phosphate fertilizer specifically provides phosphorus, which is essential for crop growth and yield. Without it, production falls sharply. So corn, wheat, soybeans, rice, cotton, fruits, vegetables, nearly everything in the American food system depends on stable phosphate availability. That's how important it is. And here is the critical timing issue. Farmers typically buy more than half of their annual phosphate fertilizer between fall and early spring. And so that means that supply disruptions right now don't just create price volatility, they threaten the next harvest cycle. So what triggered the emergency? That is the big question. According to the administration, it wasn't one single shock, it was a convergence of multiple shocks. First, global fertilizer supply chains have been disrupted by ongoing geopolitical conflicts, particularly in regions that are tied to production and export routes. Now, here I'm specifically referring to the US and Israel's war against Iran because it effectively halted shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, and I reported on this multiple times here on my channel, so I will not be repeating myself. And the second producer that is one of the top producers in the world is Russia. Russia produces fertilizer and exports it to other countries. Now, the second reason for the national emergency situation is that several major producing countries have restricted exports or introduced trade barriers, which tighten global availability. I'm not going to go into greater detail here in this video, but if you are interested, let me know in the comments below, and I will cover this in greater detail over on my Substack and Patreon. Now, the third reason is shipping disruptions across key maritime routes have made fertilizer more expensive. Also, it made fertilizer shipments slower and less reliable to move. So put together, these pressures have pushed prices higher while making supply less predictable. And in Washington's assessment, the window to secure fertilizer before planting season was closing fast. Then, of course, comes the Morocco factor. And you would ask, well, why Morocco? We never practically hear about Morocco. Well, because beneath its soil sits one of the largest phosphate reserves in the entire world. Morocco is a dominant global exporter of phosphate fertilizer, and crucially, it remains one of the few stable suppliers still available to ship to the United States. So the policy response is straightforward, which is to temporarily remove tariffs and trade duties on Moroccan phosphate that is imported to the United States with a goal to accelerate supply and to lower costs. It is not a long-term solution, it is a pressure valve, and this is a short-term solution to address the rise in fertilizer prices and the impact that supply chain disruptions have on the food security in the United States. But on the other side, this raises a bigger structural question. If fertilizer is this important, why can't the United States simply produce more of it domestically? I'm sure many of you question that. Well, the answer is capacity and time. The United States does produce phosphate fertilizer, but not enough to fully meet its domestic demand when exports and industrial needs are taken into account. And scaling up production is not something that happens quickly. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the investment, we don't have the tax structure to reward producers here domestically. So practically, we are not ready to scale up our domestic production.
Okay, you got anything on that? What you think?
Shalom, that makes a little more sense about the Strait of Hormuz again. But
Right.
you know, Brother Leonard, but then I got a question about it though. That process, this growing process that they talking about, like mixing the nitrogen, the potassium, and the phosphorus or whatever to make the fertilizer, that's not like all natural, is it?
I wouldn't say so, but for some kind of those ingredients that's in there, they mix them together to when naturally the earth itself does that. You know what I'm saying? Over time, when they say fertile ground, then those is the ingredients that's being in the ground. They just went through technology and found out about those different ingredients that's in the good soil and they make it themselves. I mean, they bring them together to make it themselves.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right. So that's what that is. You know, that's how they do. They already figure they smarter than the Yahweh anyway. Okay.
Right.
And I don't know if you've been paying attention to that. You know, Morocco is pretty much tied into the Sahel. So, like I
Yes,
said,
sir. Mm-hmm.
keep your eyes on that.
Right. Those
Okay.
ports.
Right. So that's another little situation unfolded. Okay. So here we go with some need to know information. I got pretty much 2 videos on this. Okay. Okay. It's acting up. Let me get over here.
Weather pattern is about to grip the United States, which will lead to a clash of severe weather and dangerous heat. A massive ridge is developing right now, which is about to bring life-threatening heat to over 100 million people. But the heat is not the only problem, because several disturbances are forecasted to ride along its northern edge, which will lead to destructive, damaging winds, very large hail, and tornadoes across the Great Plains, Midwest, and Great Lakes over the next several days. And this situation will remain concerning even on the 4th of July, as this stagnant pattern will unleash multiple days of severe weather and triple-digit heat indices from the Great Plains all the way to the East Coast. It's about to be so hot that people are going to start taking meetings in the freezer aisle, so let's get right into the forecast. Now, I want to start today's forecast by talking about something that happened yesterday morning across South Dakota. We ended up having a 131 mile per hour wind gust measured at about 6 in the morning by a small cluster of thunderstorms, and this literally tore down a ton of wind turbines back over in central South Dakota. This was again with 130 mile per hour winds. These photos taken by our very own storm chaser Jacob McMillan. Unbelievable what we saw yesterday morning. I was not here. I was actually on a flight from Tulsa coming back to Florida, and unfortunately was not able to be live for this, but we had an unbelievably intense line of thunderstorms. Luckily, there have not been any reports of injuries or fatalities from this, but getting winds as high as 130 miles per hour with a cluster or even just a singular supercell, that is almost an EF3 tornado, but with just straight line damaging winds.
This is what happens to a working man's legs when he wears one pair.
This was a very rare situation that happened in South Dakota yesterday morning. And we do have a lot to talk about in today's forecast, and we are going to jump right into this ring of fire weather pattern that'll be impacting the country over the next 7 to 10 days. And this is literally going to set the stage for all the weather that we are going to see during the first week of July. So let's talk more about it. And this is what our low-level jet looks like right now. We got a large high-pressure system that is building across the Tennessee River Valley. And there's also a large low-pressure system that is located back over in Manitoba, and this is basically creating a clash of both extreme heat and significant severe weather. In between this high pressure system and low pressure system, we have very strong southwesterly flow, and what this is going to do for the next several days is favor a large corridor where significant severe weather will be possible, including damaging winds, very large hail, and even tornadoes. So as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, notice how that high pressure system, it's not going to move much. It is going to continue to sit across the Ohio Valley. It might shift just a little bit to the east, but we're also going to have a lot of moisture streaming out of the Gulf, and all of that moisture is going to increase our feel-like temperatures, otherwise known as heat indices, because our dew point is going to be higher, and our temperature is also going to remain high. So many areas will be dealing with heat that feels like 110 to 115 degrees as far north as Michigan and even Indiana. While that's happening, low pressure will continue to sit in Canada as we go throughout the first couple of days of July, and then we are going to start to see
see westerly flow. And a lot of the time what happens when we see westerly flow is that we get several lines of thunderstorms. And I do not think there's going to be any exception to that as we go throughout the rest of this work week and even into the 4th of July. I even think on the 4th of July, there could be a chance of severe weather. And then as we go into the second week of July, things become a lot more uncertain. That ring of fire weather pattern is going to keep things really hot, and it's going to keep that severe weather sticking around at least for the next 4 to 5 days. And I do think we'll be live tomorrow, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified for when we do go live. And then on Thursday, our threat of severe weather will be, I think, very significant across the northern plains and across the Midwest. Right now, we have a level 2 risk of severe weather from Rapid City to Des Moines, and a marginal threat of severe weather for much of the Great Lakes region, Chicago, Milwaukee, and even another one down near Nashville and Atlanta, and another one across far northern New England, where all hazards will be possible. But really, the big concern will be a line of thunderstorms that develops in the afternoon, producing a major damaging wind threat and also large hail. And there could even be some tornadoes with this. I also think a live stream is likely for Thursday. Now let's go more detail with the timing of.
Okay, so what you think about
because
that?
Now the
So it's extreme weather is becoming a serious problem, especially here in America. We see what's going on with the tornadoes. I mean, with the earthquakes, okay, which I believe being manufactured. But what you got?
Oh, no, the same thing. I feel like with some of the heat waves, too, Brother Leonard. I mean, I know it's summertime, but it seems like the weather for the last few years hasn't just always added up with the seasons. Because even today, with it was probably like 102 at the peak today here, and then it started like raining a little bit, but then the sun came back out. But it's like always, I don't know, just the weather patterns seem weird.
Right. And then they saying when they say 102 or something like that, down here in Louisiana, that's actually almost 115, 120 in places like Arizona because of the humidity. So yeah, it's not good. And from what I heard it's a lot of deaths tied to the heat.
Yes, sir. And have you seen them in well, I know you've seen them, but over in Europe, you know those ones. I want to say they said 1,700 people.
Right, exactly. I saw that.
Yeah, crazy.
Right. Check this out. This tied to the same topic.
The entire country is being put on high alert, but for one reason: our heat. I want to explain what's happening because right now we are experiencing a lot of high or record temperatures over on the East Coast. And as a result, the grid operator PJM Interconnections, they are ordering emergency steps to avoid large-scale U.S. power outages. That's what they have been doing over the last several days. And they have been curtailing power usage to some data centers and other businesses. But here's the thing. That's on the East Coast, and a lot of people in the Midwest and on the West Coast are thinking, well, this isn't going to impact me. I don't need to worry about this. But then this is what we're seeing now. The heat dome is going to flip from the East Coast to the West Coast next week. Yeah, that's what's happening. We are about to see this heat dome go from covering the East Coast to now it's going to cover the West Coast, and it's going to hurt millions of people. I've been warning people of this over the last week, saying this is coming, to prepare. Make sure you buy a fan, an air conditioner, something to just stay cool. Make sure you cover your windows in your house. Make sure you have some type of good drapes so that you aren't seeing the rays coming in. That's exactly what I said. This is the world's only hoodie that kept.
Got anything on
that? Shalom. Yeah, like he was saying, like block out curtains.
Right.
Help a little bit with that. The same
something
for your windshield if you got it.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Feel a little bit more of
Because
that.
I'm on the West Coast. Well, let's read this. Look at this right here. It says a dangerous heat wave continues in the east into the 4th of July. Changes are on the way that will ease the heat in the east and allow it to build in the west. The western heat will precede the annual monsoon. Okay, I want to show you a little bit of the charts here. So, says at the start of the week, a massive heat dome built over the middle of the nation and has been slowly shifting eastward since. The next phase of the heat dome will be for it to shrink in place over southeast this weekend. And you can kind of see where it is right there. As the heat dome weakens, thunderstorms will progress across the Midwest and the Northeast. And you can see kind of where it's happening. Okay?
Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to open it up for some any questions, any comments, any dialogue, testimonies. Got anything?
Shalom, yes, sir. Brother Leonard, when the other night when we was reading in First Chronicles,
Okay.
and I had had ran down a little bit of the information in there. And we was reading at First Chronicles 5:26, when they had just said that the 2.5 tribes was taken, the
Right.
Gadites, yes sir, the half tribe Manasseh, and then I forgot the other one now, but so hold on, let me go to. I'm sorry, brother. Let me go to that First Chronicles 5:26 real quick.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And it's because in there I seen. Okay, so it says in 24 it says, and these were the heads of the house of their fathers, even Ephraim and Ishai and Eliel and Azriel and Jeremiah and Hodaviah and Jadiel, mighty man of valor, famous men, and heads of the house of their fathers, and they transgressed against the God of their fathers, and went a whoring after the gods of the people of the land, whom God destroyed before them. And the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tilgath-Pilesner, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and he brought them to Hala and Habar and Hara in the river Gozan on the day. That's what we was reading the other day.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then so that dude Poole, Brother Leonard, when I looked him up, um, he was the one that King Menahem had gave the silver back to, and then
Okay.
yes sir, then he left Assyria. I mean, then he left Israel. He left them there. But then when this Tilgath-Pilesner,
Mm-hmm.
he the one who took the 7.5 tribes.
Right. Okay. So it was actually, when you add it up, it's 10.
Right, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that
Then
makes sense.
those two together is like they had 2 exiles as well. Yeah, 2.5 first, and then
Okay. 2 extraction.
yeah, 2 extractions. Right, yes, sir.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And, yes, sir. And then that was one thing. And then when you was reading, now this is 2 Kings 25:2, Brother Leonard, and
Mm-hmm.
that dude, his name kept coming up, and it was just I ended up seeing him again. Second Kings 25:2, right? And it came to pass. No, that's not it. No. First Kings. I'm sorry, brother. I think it's First Kings 25:2. It's the it had to do with Gedaliah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, sir. It's 2 Kings 25 and 23. My bad, brother Leonard. It says, and when all the captains of the armies and their men heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah governor, there came to Gedaliah to Mizpah even Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and Jehohanan, and the son of Cariah, and Sariah, the son of Tanhumeth, the Nephathite, and Jazaniah, the son of a Maakathite, and their men. And when we was reading the other day, brother Leonard, I think this was the guy who he from the house of here the Rechabites.
Okay.
That name is Jaazaniah.
Okay.
But I just didn't realize that he was in this situation where the royal seed of David, they killed the king that Nebuchadnezzar made king, Gedaliah.
Right. He's a Israelite. He's
Oh,
a And he told
Jazaniah is an Israelite.
right. So what he told him over there when he told Jeremiah to go get him, because like he told Ezekiel to dig down in the wall. Remember, he took Ezekiel from the captivity in Babylon to Jerusalem in a vision, right?
Right. Okay.
And he told him, one of the things he showed him was, he said, dig down in the wall. They in the bottom of the basement of the temple, worshiping creeping things,
Mm-hmm.
other gods.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude right here was Jeremiah. He's of the priesthood. I mean, he's of the, the royals, right?
Okay, right.
So when he told him, go get this clown, he an Israelite, and take him and bring him with you, and get the Rechabites and bring them into the temple, which is the chambers. Chambers is where all the Levites and all them be at, right?
Right. Sure.
And he said, bring him in there and let him witness what these Rechabites said. And they told him, you see what I'm saying? That's why he's doing it.
Okay.
He's using Ezekiel and the Rechabites to get just that guy right there, mind right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Sure. And then, brother Leonard, one more question. This is First Chronicles 6 and 15. Positive about that. and so right here it says this is the priestly line of Aaron, and and it says I'm start at verse 10, brother Leonard, and it says, in Johanan begat Azariah, it is that executed the priest's office in the temple that Solomon built in Jerusalem. And Azariah begat Amariah, and Amariah begat Ahutub, and Ahutub begat Zadok, and Zadok begat Shulam, and Shulam begat Hilkiah, and Hilkiah begat Azariah, and Azariah begat Sariah, and Sariah begat Jehozadak. And this is my question right here, brother. In verse 15, it says, and Jehozadak went into captivity when the Lord carried away Judah and Jerusalem by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So is this Joshua father, the Levite with Zerubbabel?
Well, you have to go to Second Chronicles. I mean, not Second Chronicles. Go to Haggai. Okay. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, it says, verse 1, in the 7th month, In the 20th day of the month came the word of the Lord by the mouth of Haggai, saying, "Speak to Zerubbabel, the son of Sethur, governor of Judah, and Joshua, the son of Jehozadak." See that?
Okay.
Is that name? Is his name in the listing in right there? What you just read?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Right. It's in verse 15.
What it say?
In Jehozadak, it says, and Azariah begat Sariah, and Sariah begat Jehozadak, and Jehozadak went into captivity when the
Right.
Lord.
Yeah. Right. So yeah. So he's the father of Joshua.
Okay. Just
Okay.
because, yes, because in the in the study Bible, you know, at verse 6, it got Levi's descendants, and then from verse 4 to 15, mine says the priestly line. And so that's why I was asking, because I seen that name Jehozadak, and I thought, I was thinking maybe it was Joshua, because if this guy went into Babylon, then I'm thinking Zerubbabel's father is the same age as him, and then Joshua and Zerubbabel may be the same, around the same age, being
Right. Exactly.
born in Babylon. Okay,
Right. Exactly.
okay,
Because that's another thing people don't get. For example, when you understand how this works, he says with Elijah. Elijah thought that he was in a cave. He thought he was the only one left alive, right?
right.
When
So
the Lord of hosts told him, I can't remember the number. I think it's 1,000. He got 1,000 men reserved. I can't remember the number. But he said, I got 1,000 priests reserved. You ain't by yourself, right?
right,
Because what was it? Ahaz and Jezebel. She had killed all the men. She was killing the priests, right?
yes, sir. Hmm.
So who is this 1,000 he got reserved? The sons of the men they killed. She killed.
Okay, right.
You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So while this priest serving in the temple and doing all, he instead of raising his sons up to take his place. That way it ain't no void in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you kill the father, you got sons. It's a lineage,
Hmm.
right?
Continue. Hmm.
You continue on. So you got to look at that in everything. He got his other. We see right there where Joseph had Joshua, and we see where Zerubbabel, Sethel had Zerubbabel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a perpetual lineage that's steady going. When you kill the father, he got sons that he raising up, and they liking him doing. He's teaching them what to do. You see that?
Right. Yes, sir.
So with that being said, let me get this right quick. Let's go back to the guy you just said, Jaazii, who Ezekiel went and got and brought him
Okay.
into the chambers. I'm in right here, right quick. I think it's Genesis 20, 24. Let me get it right quick. Okay. I'm looking for when they went up on Mount Sinai. When they went up on the 70 elders went up on Mount Sinai. I think that's
Exodus 24.
Exodus. I'm over in Genesis. I knew it was 24, but I thought it was Genesis 24. Okay. So you see right here, it says in verse 1, 24, and he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord thy God, and look at this, and Aaron, Nabu, Abidin, and the 70 elders of Israel, right? So that's royal. A royalty. That's not big time lineages. When,
Right.
when, when he said when he
Okay.
said that Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the houses of wealthy men is these men, these people right here, right?
Okay. Right.
Okay, so now you go to Ezekiel.
Mhm.
Okay, I thought we was in. I thought that was what that was at in this guy. What he said, dig down in the wall. Chapter Vision of the Abomination 8. So it says, verse 1, verse 7, and he brought me to the door of the court. And when he looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go in. Behold, the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and I saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts and all idols of the house of Israel betrayed upon the wall about. Okay, now check it out. And there stood before them 70 men, same over there, same lineage. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was their fathers over there, but these same lineages, they're coming down, the sons of these 70 men.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Right. I
So
see
it
that.
says, yeah. So it says that's why he went and got him. That's why he went and got what's not to go get him. He says 11. And when there stood before them 70 men of the ancients, see that? Of the ancients of the house of Israel. And in the midst of them, this dude here, he's an Israelite. He's part of that seed line.
Mm-hmm.
Stood Jecosiah, the son of Shaphan. You should know that dude. With every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. So, like I was saying before, who do the sprinkling in the temple?
Levites, priests.
Who deal with the censers?
Right. The Levites, the priests.
That's who these is. 70 elders. Back to the suffering servant. When he said it, told him go get Abihu and Abner and come up on a mountain to bring these 70 men with you. That's the priest. That's the priest who has the suffering servant. See that?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So that's how that goes. And that's why he went and told him go get him and bring him. So because he even though Jerusalem has been Nebuchadnezzar came, they still in the midst of the ruins, still worshiping these. See that?
Wow. Okay.
Like it's after he judged it. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So you got something else?
Shalom. No, sir. I'm good.
Okay, I'm gonna play this right here because I thought this is pretty interesting. I was talking about it. Okay, check it out. They already started migrating out of the cities. A lot of
Thank you for having me out. I appreciate you in your place, man. I appreciate it. Introduce yourselves. I'm Israel, but I go by Mr. Zulu Nation.
And Megan.
Tino. All right, all right. What are we looking at here? The story behind this is that during COVID, we were in Surprise, Arizona, and then one day I had puppies, and I put the female outside, and then she barked. She barked so much. It was just 10 minutes. The neighbor called animal control. And then since then, every day was like animal control, animal control, animal control. So, but when COVID happened, they started giving us bonuses, for coming in, in the hospitals, because I'm a respiratory therapist. She's a nurse. And then we just piled up all the money, and we're like, we're not going to deal with people anymore. So that's what led us here. This right here is my garden that's been failing. These chickens you see, we've had coyotes now coming out here. Wow. So instead of throwing them away, I was like, I'm going to use them as manure. But I will say this. Somebody on Instagram told me that I guess the insects that eat the chicken can also destroy your plants. So I was like, you know, and that's the thing about here. It's learning and going.
So these chickens were all
attacked
by coyotes.
Yeah, you know, most people use incubators. We had chickens that really hatched from eggs from them doing it. And then out of nowhere, coyotes started coming around.
Like, what do you call them again?
More goats.
Borgos. And these are for
Meat.
meat. Do you eat these?
She real difference is on the other side, if the water well breaks, you gotta dig in your pockets.
Be nice.
So what you know, like I said, when you get this.
Right there. What's up, you little fish?
So picture was 1,000 words. So the name of the video is Americans Are Leaving the City for Homestead Living. And so if you watch this video, go look at it, you're gonna see how big the community is. And the first thing it reminds me of, when, you know, those movies like what's the one with Denzel was in with the Bible?
The Book of Eli.
Book of Eli, and then I wrote the book, the one with Will Smith with the when he was in the city and the disease came. What's the name of that one? You know, he's fighting those albino looking men. I Am Legend.
Oh, I Am Legend. Oh, we will.
So in all the movies, notice they had a community somewhere they were trying to get to. They had heard about it.
Right.
Okay. You know, that's the first thing they remind me of, because before, usually you'll see one person, one or two people, maybe a family, would go out and try to, you know, do the off-grid thing. But this right here is a big old community, and believe it or not, it's a big, huge community I see flocking up in Arizona. But I don't know if this is tied to it or not. But yeah, it's super living in Arizona. But yeah, it's a big ass community. You know what I'm saying? And this guy here is a doctor.
In Shalom.
Starting out. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother.
No, I'm finished.
I was gonna say, I just think that in those movies too, they was going out west. At least I know for sure in I Am Legend they were trying to go out west. That,
right, exactly. It's the narrative is always they heard about a thriving community somewhere.
Right.
And they were trying to get to it. You know what I'm saying? Even with Mad Max.
Right.
Right. That's always the narrative. Okay. So yeah, with that being said, I thought that was pretty interesting. Like I said, it's already starting to happen. Okay. So my topic for discussion is I'm gonna play these, and then let me get this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm standing in line at a Starbucks. American flag on my shirt. This one right here. That's it, just a flag. And the girl in front of me turns around, looks at my shirt, looks at me and goes, "Oh, you must be a Republican." And look, I didn't say anything. I just stood there and nodded for a second. Not mad, just kind of confused, really. Because when did that happen? When did the flag become a party? When did loving this country out loud on your chest turn into something you've got to explain? And I'm not saying that because I think everything is fine. It's not. I'm actually going to tell you the brutal truth about where this country really is at 250. Because there's a lie quietly turning us against each other. I mean, if you're watching this, you probably already have a sense of that. I mean, you paid the taxes, you raised the kids, you saved the money, You kept your head down. You played by the rules. You did what they told you responsible people were supposed to do. And now you're watching inflation eat the life you built one quiet dollar at a time. You're watching a house cost what a mansion used to cost. You're watching groceries turn into a monthly insult. You're watching your savings lose purchasing power while the people in charge argue about everything except the thing that's actually happening to you. So no, I'm not here to tell you to stop being angry. Honestly, I'm angry too. I'm angry for the people who did the right thing and still got punished. I'm angry for the retirees who thought they were safe. I'm angry for the parents who told their kids, work hard, save money, buy a house. And now they got to explain why that advice doesn't work the same way anymore. More room to fall down, get back up, and try again. That is not nothing. That is not a talking point. That is a miracle with paperwork. And it still makes those promises today. I mean, you've got a life that you're trying to protect. I know you do. You've got kids you worry about, grandkids you worry about, a house, savings, retirement, a future, a country you thought you understood. And maybe somewhere along the way, you started wondering, will America keep its promise to me? Fair question. But here's the other one. What promise are we making back? I'm not talking to a party, not to a president, not to Wall Street, not to the Fed, not to whatever they're screaming about on cable tonight, to the country itself, to the idea, to each other. Are we interested in America, or are we committed to it? Or better? And when I hear that, I always instinctively think, better? Better where? Seriously, where? And again, this is not love it or leave it. No, that's lazy. This is, let's look clearly before you burn down the thing you may never be able to rebuild. You don't like it here? Okay, fine. Let's talk about your options. Try taking your flag to Tiananmen Square and criticizing the people in charge. See how long that lasts. I think everything is fine. I wear it because even with everything that's broken, this place is still worth fighting for. And here's the part that should stop you for a second. The freedom to trash this country is one of the loudest arguments for it. I mean, you can go on Facebook right now and tell the whole world everything that you think is wrong with America. You can name names. You can tag the president even. You can post it under your real face, your real name, with your real profile picture right there next to it. And tomorrow morning, you can still get up, go to work, drink your coffee, and do it again. You can kneel during the anthem. You can criticize the police. You can criticize the military. You can criticize the courts. You can criticize Congress. You can criticize the president. And yes, when protest crosses into violence, people should be held accountable. But here's what's rare. In America, you're allowed to look your government in the face and tell it it's wrong and walk away. Now, compare that to the United Kingdom, our closest. If socialism is the answer, somebody explain to me about the boats. When borders open, people still risk everything to get here. Nobody builds a raft and floats back to Cuba. And that doesn't mean every capitalist is a saint. It doesn't mean every American, a stranger on a screen taught you how. So if we learned anything in 250 years, it ought to be this: question everything, especially the stuff you agree with. Because it's easier to fool a man than to convince him he's been fooled. And none of us like finding out we were fooled. So we double down. We get louder, we get meaner. We call the other guy brainwashed because it's easier than asking whether we might be. That girl in line at Starbucks, the one who took one look at my shirt and decided she knew exactly who I was, I don't see her as the enemy. She has different convictions, that's all, that were handed to her by people she doesn't even know, by people who...
So this guy is warning, I don't know if you've been paying attention to it, but this is a big old thing going around now about America reaching 250 years, his birthday, I guess. And but he's telling us that when you look around, that everything is vanishing. The life that's supposedly 250 years of progress is vanishing. Okay. Got any feedback on that?
Shalom, yes sir, brother Leonard. And they were talking about that on some videos I was watching on YouTube, how you can tell something is different because like the government isn't really celebrating the
Right.
250-year anniversary, right? You know, so it's like
Right.
what the lady was actually saying, the coup has happened or something like that.
Exactly.
But
Right.
yes sir, yeah, because you don't see it on nothing on no, you know, you would think they'll make some of the basketball teams or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Right, you know, and yeah, I haven't really seen nothing from the government about it. I've seen like organizations celebrating it, but not the government itself. So I
Exactly.
think that's interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's something behind it. Okay. Check this out.
If I die tomorrow, my family. Just had a video here. This is the first time I'm watching it real time with you guys here, but it says new. Peter Thiel is funding a plan to build privatized city-states everywhere from Gaza and Venezuela to small towns in California. The goal is to replace governments with for-profit companies. We investigated how Thiel's scheme is already reshaping democracy across the world. That's fucking terrifying. You're talking about a billionaire who's obsessed with the Antichrist, who has a mass blackmail data network, and he's trying to destroy nation states and turn them into privatized corporations. Okay, an evil scheme that's so absurd that it's hard to even believe, but let's listen. Here we go. I have been researching one of the weirdest stories that I've ever looked into. It's about a once fringe movement among the tech elite that aims to replace governments entirely with corporations. Privatized societies run by CEOs, built for profit, not for people. Almost like they wanted their own little worlds, playlands, built just for them based on their desires. I eventually pulled away from the story because it seemed a little more silly than anything to be concerned about. But then I realized they might already be getting their way. Just look at Doge and Palantir replacing or breaking the basics of the government. The plans for a futuristic, privatized new Gaza, AI infrastructure growth that seems immune to public opinion, and invasions of countries seemingly at random. A new power structure in society. It's our boy Gil Duran, by the way. Our boy Gil Duran. We just had him on Crystal Kyle and Friends. He's awesome. You definitely have to check out the episode that we did with him and check out his new book, which is coming out soon. The existing democratic power structures, when billionaires suddenly have a tremendous amount of power and democracy has been proven to be exceedingly vulnerable. So I decided to dig back in. What is this movement? Where did it come from? How did the people involved get so powerful? Where is it going? And importantly, what can we do to stop it? Let's go back to the weird origins of all this. In 2008, Peter Thiel first got involved in philanthropy, if you can call it that. He opened the Thiel Foundation, a nonprofit that invested in building the world Peter Thiel believed in. And one big investment sticks out, the Seasteading Institute. The Seasteading Institute was started by Patrick Friedman, the grandson of Milton Friedman, the famous economist who gave politicians the academic backing to rip off the global working class. The goal of TSI was to build self-sustaining societies at sea, ruled by new governments on newly constructed land. This was particularly appealing to libertarians who wanted to escape the constraints of modern governance. Heavy investors could profit from this coming doom and prepare for it by making the right investments. This book had a major impact on Peter Thiel. And of course, it influenced the people Thiel was paying. Joe Lonsdale got to work. He started a nonprofit, California Common Sense, allegedly dedicated to transparency in government spending, so that voters could make a difference if they found things they were unhappy with. On the surface, that sounds great, but two founders of that nonprofit started a for-profit, OpenGov. OpenGov is a software service for government agencies to manage data. The idea of replacing democratic processes in the hands of all of us with technology in the hands of few was becoming less fringe. Now, by the way, isn't that perfectly describing AI as well? Like, they're open about the fact they want AI to replace you. It's so funny that people have made a big deal about immigrants and they're coming to take your jobs, they're coming to replace you, when the fact of the matter is, no, AI is doing that, and the billionaires who are creating the technology are openly saying that's the goal, that's the point. So they don't need you anymore. You become irrelevant to society. There's no social safety net to back you up, and they took away your jobs. What are we supposed to do with that? What are we supposed to do with that? All the people with all the money and all the power in society are saying, we're no longer needed, and democracy is dead. And so we get to do whatever the fuck we want, and you get to deal with the consequences. How can we help the government stop the bad guys while also putting systems in place to make sure nobody within the government was doing anything inappropriate? You have to have systems that watch the watchers. After leaving Palantir, Lonsdale, through his firm ABC, continued investments in what's called GovTech, tech for government clients. That's surveillance tech, AI drones, AI weapons, even tech to replace 911 with AI. All aim to replace, privatize, and profit from tasks normally attributed to democratically accountable officials.
What's happening now, though, is that the companies are becoming more powerful than the governments they serve. We suddenly have all these billionaire oligarchs spending so much money, they were able to actually capture the federal government with Trump. So there's this interesting moment now where we're getting a glimpse of what government by technology company would look like.
And Lonsdale is working to convince you that we need this by making you scared. Lonsdale founded the Cicero Institute, a think tank that pushes anti-homeless messaging. Not anti-homeless messaging, but messaging attacking the homeless themselves, and even legislation creating concentration camps where unhoused people would do forced labor.
You actually can go into states, you can like partner with governors, you can pass laws, Cicero's in 15 states, we're getting dozens of laws passed, and then we're gonna teach people that and go to the national level.
Riling people up is definitely part of the game plan. That's what we saw in the San Francisco recalls. San Francisco had a spike in crime during the pandemic, but so did almost every big city in the United States. Only in San Francisco, which has extremely low crime rates compared to most cities in red states, did they create this massive panic using social media and doom influencers to convince everybody that everything was worse than it had ever been.
And as Lonsdale got into
feudal tech slave states that has no democracy whatsoever and runs like a private corporation with the CEO king at the top. That's what it is. And finally, somebody's saying it. The media never goes this deep. Regular media never goes this deep on this issue.
Having a frontier is very healthy. I think part of America being great is that it's growing and creating more wealth for everyone. If the people in Greenland want to be part of us, we can use those resources better and make sure Russia and China don't get advantages in the Arctic.
The Freedom City as a name didn't really gain momentum, but the idea is there. And the influence in the administration is clear. Joe Lonsdale helped staff up the Trump administration, and just recently accompanied administration officials to the Philippines to christen a new regulatory zone.
Just last week, we signed a historic deal with the Philippines, 4,000 acres right now.
Did you hear that?
With
they just made a historic deal with the Philippines, right?
Okay.
What just happened in the Philippines?
Oh, that one of them earthquakes.
Okay.
Next to Subic Bay, where we're going to build a first of its kind AI native industrial park.
Do you see yet how you cannot have billionaires in democracy, that you can't have both of them? Do you understand that yet? Billionaires, just by their very nature, and now trillionaires as well, by their very nature, they have too much money and power. And so they can buy governments, they can corrupt governments, they can rig systems, they can rig the rules in their favor, okay? They can basically vote themselves all the money, all the power, all the control.
The blueprint for
this digital calendar lightning
zones on American soil, a plan to sell federal and public land to private companies to build low regulation, low tax havens for progress. Their co-sponsor on the blueprint was the company behind Prospera in Honduras, whose lobbying disclosures show they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars pushing for prosperity zones. But they also spent big on begging the American government for handouts of your money. They've lobbied on refunding the U.S. International Development Financial Corporation, a government organization run by Epstein associate Ben Black, that uses tax dollars to invest in American companies abroad. That's privatized foreign aid, and they might finally get their way.
I can, bro. They all speak a big libertarian game until it comes time to get a little handout or subsidy or welfare check from the government. Then all of a sudden, the libertarian ideals go out the window and they rob you blind.
Black went to Honduras and promised investment in real estate and technology there, including an investment in La Ceiba, which is slated to be absorbed by Prospera. But it's more than just government handouts. It's war crimes.
So we did a master plan, and we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential, and this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones.
It was sort of insane to see it all come together in this way. But again, wherever you look these days with Trump or with these tech guys, there's always the idea of a new city that they're proposing. And it's not clear why we need these new cities. Gaza should be rebuilt for the Palestinians, but these guys see it as an opportunity to take the land. And so that shows you the degree to which this thinking is starting to imbue everything that they do.
Look at how the people in this fringe movement reacted to other invasions. In 2019, Mark Lutter, leader of a Peter Thiel-funded New City think tank, said that overthrowing the Venezuelan government would be an opportunity for these projects. And when the invasion did happen, Lutter suggested America establish a Florida or Texas-style government there. He cites America paying for a wholesale development plan after regime change.
It's like as if we have the fucking right, as if this is their land, this is their country. And now, as you all know, we're stealing the gold and we're stealing the oil. And then there was just a fucking earthquake there that leveled the fucking place.
Exactly.
And now they're probably going to be exploited even more. You're going to have these fucking vultures go in there and exploit it even more. changing their tax system, changing the structure of the government. I mean, it's just, these people, they're demonic, bro. They truly are. The guy who's obsessed with the Antichrist is himself the fucking Antichrist.
Which is exactly what we're doing in Iran today, to the tune of $300 billion. Palmer Luckey, Lonsdale and Teal associate and founder of AI defense contractor Anduril, pictured here in cosplay, suggested a privatized city on Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, which President Trump also threatened with invasion.
Again, nobody wants this. They know that. That's why they hate populism. That's why they hate democratic representation. Despite all of this being couched in freedom.
What they're asking for is to exit entirely from any government structure. But that's just not how it works, especially when most of these guys are government contractors and are still wanting to have the benefits of our society without having the responsibilities of our society.
These are people.
Okay. You got any comments on that?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. The cities that he said that Peter Thiel trying to build kind of sound like Gilead to me.
Right. And another thing about that, look at, nobody seems to understand what Kushner doing. He's not just going to one place, he's going to a bunch of places.
Right.
And you tie that to what he just said, what Peter Thiel doing. He's trying to build a whole bunch of cities. Ain't that what Alexandria did?
Right.
He went around the world building a whole bunch of Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's something?
Okay. Right.
But this is what I want to get to right here. This is my main topic right here. Here we go.
As I mentioned earlier, it's the House Rules Committee, right? So
this is the fake ad you see everywhere, right?
Okay.
But this is Ebony.
1 minute. Like I said, the guy was talking about last night how this is straight up treason, but for some reason, nobody seems to understand what's going on.
Massey, and they are trying to block a bill that would merge our military with Israel's military, specifically in regards to technology and data.
Right.
That way, Israel could take all of our intelligence without having to steal it, and that would remove an inconvenience for them. So, Kana and Massey asked for something very simple. Can we have a vote on it?
So I was, what set me off on this right here is just other morning, I was getting up, and then I was sitting there for a minute, but before I got up, it hit me that they want this place. You know what I'm saying? They want to get everybody out here. They want this lane.
Right.
Okay? I'm like, okay, I see what's happening now. Yeah.
And Congress said, no, you'll get no votes at all, and Israel will get to take trillions of dollars in value without even requiring a vote in the House. How is that even possible? Well, let's explain.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what was originally referred to as Section 224. It has now been changed. It's now Section 219 of the National Defense Authorization Act. Gee, I wonder why they changed the name. Now, the provision specifically merges the IDF with the U.S. military, and it also forces, should this additional provision in the Senate pass, it would force our intelligence community to share all intelligence with Mossad and with the Israelis, which sounds insane. Now, as Cenk referenced, you have two members of Congress, both one a Republican, the other a Democrat. You've got Ro Khanna and then Thomas Massey, providing an amendment to ensure that that type of provision doesn't pass. And it turns out that they won't even allow a vote on it. So let me just give you a few more details about the provisions I'm referring to. So again, one of the provisions allows for the unprecedented integration of the U.S. and Israeli military industrial complex. As Ben Freeman writes in Responsible Statecraft, this provision creates an executive agent within the Department of Defense whose sole responsibility is furthering U.S. and Israeli military tech integration across nearly every facet of the defense process, from co-producing weapons to data fusion. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has described this shift in the
So notice what he just said. HEPSEC sole purpose in this administration is to fuse Israel and American governments together.
U.S.-Israel
Let that firm aid.
Relationship as, quote, my plan. So while you might hear Netanyahu pretend as though he wants to reject any future U.S. military or any financial aid to Israel, in reality, he's behind the scenes, hatching this plan to merge the IDF and their intelligence community with our military and intelligence community. Joe Kent, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center.
These Negroes going for it. All they doing is an old bullshit ass game of smoke and mirrors.
Who I've also interviewed about this, wrote the following in Responsible Statecraft: the dangers of allowing any other nation to access our sensitive military technologies are obvious, including the fact that backdoors and spyware can be installed that will most certainly be used by the Israelis to influence US policy. In fact, for those of you who might not know, just recently our intelligence community had upgraded Israel's threat of espionage against the United States to the highest possible level. That just happened, and Congress is about to pass these provisions which would make it easier for the Israelis to carry out espionage against our country. Paul Pillar, who spent 25 plus years working for the CIA, explains how disastrous this is. In intelligence, Israel is more of an adversary than an ally. Being an adversary in intelligence means indulging in the hostile act of espionage. Israel has a long record of conducting that type of hostile act against the United States. And for those of you who might want to fact check me, which I always welcome, because I might get something wrong. In this case, the Defense Intelligence Agency revealed that Israeli espionage efforts in the United States have been deemed critical, which is the highest level that this agency has in this, grading system, I suppose. So Massey and Khanna provide this amendment to ensure that this type of provision doesn't pass. However, as Ben Freeman writes at Responsible Statecraft, after no debate on Monday, the Rules Committee chose to reject a bipartisan amendment introduced by Representatives Khanna and Massey that would have stripped the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative from the bill. So, Cenk, what do these lawmakers have to be afraid of? Why don't they want a full House vote on this so we can see who is, a traitor to the country and who actually wants to protect the American people and represent their best interests?
Yeah, so I'm going to get to that, but let me break it down a little bit more. So as Anna just explained to you, literally no one does more espionage against us than Israel does. And that means they steal more from us, our sensitive technologies, intelligence, data, more than any other country. And what's amazing about that is that our media says, oh yeah, that's perfectly normal. No, it's not. And then they always followed up with like the Canadians and the Dutch are also doing espionage against us, so it's no big deal. Wait, are they?
Are they?
I've literally never heard of the Canadians or the Dutch stealing from us.
Aren't you so worried about the Canadians, Cenk?
Yeah, I do know that Israel stole nuclear technology from us and the uranium and the nuclear triggers, which by the way was Project Pinto. And guess who was involved in that? Benjamin Netanyahu when he was younger, okay? So did I see Canada steal any of those things? No, I never saw anyone but Israel steal all those things over and over and over again. And again, it's empirical. Our own intelligence has said, watch out. These are the biggest thieves that are the highest risk to the United States of America.
Today, if this...
Okay. Okay.
doesn't make it to a full House vote, then it's really hard to hold each individual member of Congress accountable. Now, who's holding back the ability for a full House vote? As I mentioned earlier, it's the House Rules Committee, right? So maybe we just need to apply additional pressure, more pressure, extreme pressure on the members of the House Rules Committee. So I want to read off their names. And if they happen to be your representative in your district, fantastic. You're going to have a little more weight in pressuring these lawmakers. But if you're an American, feel free to hit every single one of these people up hit them up in their offices. If you happen to be local in the area where their offices are located, show them a little visit, okay? Maybe hit up their staffers when these lawmakers inevitably ignore you. They're going to try to avoid you. So in the Rules Committee, we have in the Republican Party, of course, that's the majority, so they have the control, but it's Congresswoman Virginia Fox, Republican from North Carolina, Representative Michelle Fishback, a Republican from Minnesota, Representative Ralph Norman from South Carolina, another Republican, Chip Roy from Texas, another Republican, Aaron Hochin, Republican from Indiana, Nicholas A. Langworthy, Republican from New York, Representative Morgan Griffith, Republican from Virginia, and then you have Brian Jack, that's another Republican from Georgia. Now, of the minority members, these are the television back in February. Okay, so we're going to watch the video. You're going to hear Hebrew if you're our audio listener, but I'll read the quotes when we come back out of the video. Let's take a look.
יש למוספיס את כל קרוב אצלו עם ארטילריה, דופק להם מכה על מנת שתהיה להם בעיה. אחרי מה זה? כתבתי את זה לאבי בביר. הם לא מעלים מסקרים, את רוצה שאני לא עליי? שומעתי את הכל. אילו חיילים שלך.
Stop the tape is Ben Gavir.
Yes.
So he's like, we're about to say terrible things that'll prove that we're all terrorists, including killing our own people. So stop the tape. And that's the one smart thing Ben Gavir has done. So remember, a lot of Israelis were upset with Netanyahu because he seemed to not care about the hostages. Little do they know, or apparently some of them do know because they aired on Israeli television, his government was looking to murder their own hostages before Hamas could do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But it won't air on cable news. It'll move no one in American media. They'll continue with their lies. Okay, so.
Okay, you got anything on that? So it's like they full steam ahead with combining these two countries together with their military, which is crazy. And you don't see no uproar. Now they got all these people bum rushing and everything when it comes to the No Kings protest. Well, this is what they ought to be bringing. This is what they ought to be bum rushing at. Okay. Is there something?
Right, Shalom. But Lynn, I was gonna say I haven't seen anybody like you said, I haven't seen really too many podcasts or any of those channels that I was seeing, like you said, during those No Kings protests, and even during when he was rolling out Project 25 and all of that stuff. I'm not seeing a lot of those channels talk about this right here. It's like they're keeping it under the radar or something like that.
But I think it's completely going over their head. They you know what I mean? What they at? Like I said, if you got somebody talking about JC in 2026, come on, he totally lost.
Right. Yes,
you definitely can't see this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
okay. So with that being said, we'll pick a scripture. We'll break that scripture down and talk about it and close out. You got something?
Shalom, yes, sir. Brother Leonard, this is what is that? Deuteronomy 10. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's Deuteronomy 5. And if I could read verses 2 through 6. And it says, okay, and it says in the Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. And the Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day. And the Lord talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time to show you the word of the Lord. For you were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up to the mount, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt and from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have none other gods before me. And shalom. That was Deuteronomy 5, verses 2 through 6.
Okay. What's your take on that?
In Brother Leonard, where it says that this is Moses talking. To my understanding, right? And he said in verse 2, the Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb.
Right.
And yes, sir. And he at Horeb, those times Moses went there, he met an angel there.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. So for me, it's saying this is when he was talking to Michael on the bush, right?
Right. But the thing about that right there is what I notice a lot of people don't get, like I was just saying, because they so entangled with JC in the New Testament. But if you go to Genesis chapter 3, right?
Okay.
So Genesis chapter 3. No, not Genesis, Exodus. Tripping.
Okay.
Exodus chapter 3. And it says, chapter 3, verse 1. Now, Moses kept a flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, right? Came to the mountain of God, even at Horeb, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And we just mentioned this, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in the flame of a fire out of the midst of the bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. So, what did he tell Moses to do? Go to Egypt and do what?
Tell the Pharaoh to let his people go.
And then bring them where?
Back here.
Right there. Would you read the verse you just read? You just started before we started this discussion.
And it says, the Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb.
There it is.
Sure.
So he brought him back to Horeb.
Mm.
See that? So, like I said, it's an angel there.
Mm.
We also know Yahweh was there. He spoke. He wasn't there de facto, but he spoke through the angel.
Right.
And they brought him back there. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, what's going on in Mount Zion? It's horrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I know that.
Right. Okay. So you got anything else?
All right, shalom. No, sir. Good.
Okay. So with that being said, like I said, we here every Friday for our men's advanced Bible study. It's 7 to 9 p.m. You want to engage, or you hear something that not making no sense, and you want to get some verification on it, or you want to debunk it, whatever you want to do, you can call 337-802-0889. We'll send you the link, and then we can talk about it. Okay, rightly divided. Okay, so with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.